Welcome back to Food for Therapy podcast. I'm your host, Therese Bolden. Welcome to this show that combines my training and specialties of psychotherapy and counseling, personal development and writing with my love and my passion of food and hosting and culture. Welcome back to a beautiful topic, the topic of peace through the holy instant. On our last episode, we spoke about my experience of the holy instant, how when I had the experience 24 years ago, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know that something actually existed called the holy instant. What I knew was that I had experienced something incredibly profound, incredibly moving, that would undoubtedly change the trajectory and course of my life since. Fast forward to 24 years now. A few months ago, I was directed to pick up the book A Course in Miracles, and I opened it and I discovered that what I had experienced was indeed the holy instant. Now, just to refresh, the holy instant, my experience of it was that it is literally an instant. We were driving, my husband at the time and I and my two children were in the back seat, driving from Sydney to Melbourne. I pulled out my mala beads or my prayer beads and proceeded to meditate and got into a very deep state of meditation. I do not take drugs. I was not taking drugs. And I was in an incredibly deep state. When I opened my eyes, I had the experience of being connected to everything that ever existed. The word ebullient doesn't even define the joy and elation that I felt, the love, the compassion, the awe that was coming from my soul. I had no problems. There was no past. There was no future. I was in a state of eternal presence. That's the only way I can describe it to you. I did speak about the experience to a number of different friends of mine and a number of different people. And to be honest with you, my life continued, but it continued in the sense of I knew that I could never hurt another human being. I knew that I could never do something to someone else that would hurt them, because this would mean I would be hurting myself. So it directly informed how I functioned as an individual and as a human being. That experience was parallel to my experience of psychoanalysis, because during that time I was deep in the throes of analysis. The intuition that I'd had as a young girl had resurfaced through that process. I then started to cultivate my intuition. I was in a state of meditation twice a day. Every time I would experience my intuition or my gut feeling or a nudge, I would listen to it, because I knew it was my higher self again had come back to direct me. It was a guiding faculty. That intuition combined with my experience of meditation, and I believe my experience of psychoanalysis, when all of your defense mechanisms are depleted and worn down so that you can resurface and reemerge as a whole individual. And of course, that process takes many years. I would also like to remind you that I do not subscribe to any religion. I had been raised in a Coptic Orthodox home with very rigid dogma around the idea of what God was. I was taught to believe in a vengeful, spiteful, hateful God, that if I didn't act according to what the religion prescribed, I would be sent to eternal damnation and hell. The questions I had around how could a loving God that created us all love one of us more than the other? How could a loving God create us and have one religion that was superior to another? How could a loving God that created us out of love want to send us to hell? None of these questions were ever answered for me in a way that ever made any sense. These were questions very organic questions that I had as a child. I think I was probably about 7 the first time I asked the question. How could, if we are Christians and we believe in Jesus and Jesus is the King of the Jews, why aren't we Jewish? All these questions were never answered, or never answered in a way that made any sense to me. And so through the process of my curiosity and my voracious curiosity, my soul's yearning curiosity to get an answer to these really important questions I had, I kept searching. And I guess I believe that I had the experience of the holy instant because I was searching, because I was curious, because I wanted to know what was there beyond us as human beings, as flesh. And what I experienced was that we've always been here. We will eternally be here because our soul is eternal. We're just experiencing ourselves as human in this life form for this lifetime. And that made sense to me. That also coincided with my being given the book Conversations with God, which was really where I let go of my religion and found a faith. The questions that Neil Donald Walsh posed to a higher being. If you've ever read the book Conversations, you'll know what I'm talking about. He had so many questions about life, mortality, the afterlife. The questions he was posing were some of the questions I had. The answers he was gaining from a higher source helped to appease my curiosity, so to speak. But I still had questions around it. And I believe that's why I had the experience of the holy instant. I should give you the definition of the holy instant again. In the Course in Miracles, it is defined as this: there is no change in heaven because there is no change in God. In the holy instant in which you see yourself as bright with freedom, you remember God. For remembering him is to remember freedom. In exchange for this instant, he stands ready to give you your remembrance of eternity. And that is, to paraphrase, what I experienced. In the circle of atonement, the definition, that the holy instant is a moment in which we temporarily set aside the past and enter into a timeless present in which we momentarily transcend identification with illusions and recognize what is real. Again, it's the same thing. It's literally an instant where there was no ego, so my ego was suspended, and I was able, through the process of meditation, to experience eternity in all its glory. That was my experience. I didn't recognize it as the holy instant until a few months ago. I picked up the Course in Miracles, and when that was the experience that I had. And in doing so, I've meditated daily, twice a day, and asked what should be the next episode to open the season for Food for Therapy podcast. The answer I kept receiving was peace, 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 peace. Every day, twice a day, I was getting peace until I understood what peace meant. And what peace means, and the message I kept getting, was that it's the peace of one, the peace of God, the peace that can only be achieved through forgiveness. The Course in Miracles defines that there are only two states of being. One is love and one is fear. When we are in a state of love, there is pure forgiveness. There is letting go. There is an acceptance that we are all one. When I hurt my friend, I'm hurting myself. When I hurt the person down the street, I'm also causing grievance to myself. In the context of what's happening in the world is built around polarities. The world is built around hierarchy. You just have to look around you to know that we are just continuously repeating the same cycle. The wars today are no different than the wars 100 years ago or before that. It's the same trajectory, and humanity cannot continue to do the same thing and expect a different result, as Einstein has said. We have to, at some point, recognize that if we are hurting someone else, we're hurting ourselves. We cannot evolve on the same trajectory. And so this was the reason for this episode. And I say to you this, that the experience and understanding that I have now since having the holy instant, and the God that I understand and believe in is one that is merciful, that is loving, that is all embracing, that is all encompassing and forgiving. Through my experience of the holy instant, I was able to let go of those shackles that really I was a prisoner in. This is what the teachings of the Coptic Orthodox faith had done to me. I was in prison in my belief because it never made any sense to me. And what I realized was that the God that had created us out of love and freedom and agency and choice. So you are free to believe as you wish. You're free to do as you wish. Understand that if you want to have an experience similar to the one I had, the only way to have it is to really be open, to be humble, to be in a state of curiosity, to be questioning constantly what is beyond the flesh, what is beyond it. And I am constantly in that state, and I am constantly curious about people. I read a lot of biographies. Recently, I've been reading a lot of research on different scientists and their belief on a God or a deity. I read a lot about Einstein. I've read a lot about Nikola Tesla. And what I have understood from both these scientists, both physicists, is that they believed that there was one energy that was continuity, that was continuous through all living creation. Einstein believed that, and Nikola Tesla believed the same. And I was marveling in this because, of course, the faculty of science is based on empirical evidence. I was marveling that they could believe in the same thing that essentially and ostensibly is the same thing I believe in, which is that there is one energy that moves through all of us, and that energy is a higher energy, a higher being, and we are all connected through it, whether it's animal or human or nature. There is but one energy that connects us all. So I guess it's my voracious curiosity that will continue to nudge me in the direction of research and understanding more what this means to have had this experience. And if it's the experience that you want to have, I wish it for you as well. The only way that you can get to the space of having it is to want it, and to want it sincerely, and to be open to experiencing love in all its glory. I am someone who is very good with words and articulates myself pretty clearly, but I don't believe I have an adjective to describe the experience of the holy instant. Ebullience is nothing to describe the joy that I had when I had the experience. I wish it for you if that is what you want. I do not believe that I'm special. I do believe that I am blessed for having had this experience, because it has helped me to drop the illusion that we are fed through life, that we are identified with our body. I do not believe that that is who we are, and the experience of the holy instant has allowed me to see that, has allowed me to understand that, has allowed me to go beyond that and continuously keep questioning. So that's where I'm going to leave you for today. It's definitely food for thought. And whatever you wish for, I hope that you receive it, and I hope that you experience it, whatever it is. I want to leave you with a quote from Albert Einstein himself. The quote came from the New York Times. The article is called "The Einstein Papers and the Man of Many Parts." It's written by Walter Sullivan. So, a human being is a part of a whole called by universe, a part limited to time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to personal desires, to attention, to affection for few persons near to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion, to enable all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. Nobody is able to achieve this completely, but this striving for such an achievement is itself a part of the liberation and foundation of security or peace. This, I feel, epitomizes what Einstein's belief was, or faith in a higher being. He didn't subscribe to any religion, to my understanding. This is the essence of what he sees, is that there's one energy that connects us all through all living entities or beings. If you have any questions, as always, I'd love to read them. I would like to answer them for you. You can contact me at foodfortherapyshow@gmail.com. You can visit YouTube and watch any of my other episodes or podcasts. I thank you for tuning in to this beautiful opening seasons or opening episodes for season 2. I wish you all the happiness and peace in the world. I'm Therese Bolden, signing off from Food for Therapy podcast for now. Bye for now.